Hi everyone, this is Migs from Sneaks and Ball PH, and today we have a new series on the channel which we're gonna call the SNB Crash Course. The SNB Crash Course are basically gonna be like episodes or videos where I explain a lot of sneaker history and some other things as well, like how to take care of your shoes, how to clean them, how to restore them, and pretty much anything under the sun that I think will be really useful to sneakerheads like me and you. So for the first episode of the SNB Crash Course, we'll be taking a look at all of the OG colorways from the Jordan 1 to the 14. Before we get started, as usual, if you like this video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. Then I'll also leave a link to the SNB PH Sneaker Hunters Facebook group down in the description box. So I do hope you can join us over there because that is a place where we talk about sneakers and basketball quite a bit. And it's also where we have our SNB PH Steel Cabinet where I take some shoes that I reviewed before or some shoes that I no longer use and put them up for bidding at way below market value. Then if you haven't already, I do hope you can subscribe to the channel because it really does help us out quite a lot. So with that out of the way, just like I said a while ago, this is the first episode of the SNB Crash Course, and we'll be taking a look at all of the OG Jordan colorways from the Jordan 1 to the Jordan 14. I do have quite a few OG Jordans in my collection, and that's pretty much what I'm trying to collect like this year and next year. But of course, there are many more that I don't have in my possession, so for that, we're just gonna have to turn to pictures on the internet. So for the list, we will be going in order, so let's start with the iconic Jordan 1. The Jordan 1 is by far the Jordan with the most OG colorways. I think there are almost 20, and that is definitely insane now, but can you imagine how it felt like in 1985? When most shoes didn't have more than 2 colorways. So for the first one, we have the iconic Jordan 1 Bread, and the Bread Jordan 1s are also famously called the Band Jordan 1s, but it is quite strange that it's called the Band because the Band shoe was actually the Airship in a black and red colorway, and not actually the Jordan 1 Bread. It is a super iconic colorway though, and is one of the most recognizable shoes of all time, and it last retroed in 2016. Then for the next shoe, we have the Jordan 1 Chicago. The Jordan 1 Chicago has always been a very popular colorway, but with The Last Dance airing last year, the colorway has just gotten even more popular and even more hype, and as of now, the Jordan 1 Chicago is actually the most expensive OG Jordan 1 colorway you can buy on the resale market. So with that in mind, getting a Jordan 1 Chicago on the resale market is a pass for me, but hopefully it does retro soon because the last retro was in 2015. Then for the next Jordan 1, we have the Jordan 1 Royal. The Jordan 1 Royal was a surprising shoe when it came out because, you know, it wasn't the Bulls colors, it was basically black and blue, and it just kind of captured everyone's imagination because, you know, just like having a shoe without the team colors was something that didn't really happen back in the day. It is also one of the most wearable Jordans, and it last retroed in 2017. Then for the next shoe, it is one of my personal favorites, and that's the Jordan 1 Shadow. The Jordan 1 Shadow is never one of the most hyped Jordans, especially in terms of resale price, but in my opinion, it is one of the most wearable Jordan 1s because you can pretty much pull this off with any outfit. You can definitely see that because my pair is super beat, and it last retroed in 2018. Then moving on to the next Jordan 1, we have the Jordan 1 Black Toe. The Black Toe Jordan 1 is another very popular model because it does look very clean, and that distinctive black toe color blocking has definitely been used on a lot of newer colorways. The Black Toe Jordan 1 did last retro in 2016, so hopefully they get retroed sometime soon. Then for the next Jordan 1, it's actually one that retroed this year, and that would be the Jordan 1 Neutral Gray. It definitely is one of the more plain colorways of the Jordan 1, but in my opinion, it is another super wearable Jordan 1, so I think in the long run, the 2021 retro will get more and more popular. Then for the next shoe, we have the Jordan 1 UNC. The Jordan 1 UNC is a pretty simple shoe with white and baby blue, but is definitely, in my opinion, one of the prettiest Jordan 1s, and it's also a pair that a lot of people really like using, which is why it's so hard to find a dead stock pair. These also did last retro in 2015, so definitely Jordan brand, just please bring these back soon. Then for the next one, we do have the Jordan 1 Panda or the Jordan 1 Black and White. As it states in the name, it is a pretty simple Jordan 1 with just white and black, and it's definitely one of the more overlooked Jordan 1 colorways. There are definitely still a lot of people that like it though, and those people probably still kept their pairs from 2014. Then for the next shoe, we have another clean colorway with the Jordan 1 Storm Blue. The Jordan 1 Storm Blue is pretty similar to the UNC Jordan 1, it's just that you took out that baby blue and replaced it with a darker shade. It is also quite hard to find a a good pair of storm blues nowadays, especially given the fact that it last retroed in 2016. Then for the next few colorways, these are all from the metallic pack of the Jordan 1, and they all basically share the same color blocking but just change the metallic color. The first one and my favorite from the metallic pack would be the metallic red. It is quite a simple colorway, but I think the red lends itself well to this color blocking because the red is super vibrant. These are also one of the cheaper OG Jordan 1s you can get, so if you found someone who kept their pair from 2016, I think you can get a good deal out of it. Then moving on to the next one, it's another one that I have in my collection, and that's the metallic blue. The metallic blue Jordan 1 is definitely not as vibrant as the red, but I still think it looks pretty clean. This did come out as well in 2016, and it's nice that I have both, so depending on my mood, I can go for red or for blue. Then moving on to the next shoe, we have the metallic purple, and it technically hasn't retroed true to form because we do have a metallic purple Jordan 1 retro that recently released, but it was a women's exclusive, so that meant the swoosh and the wings logo was a little smaller, and they also changed things up a little bit because the tongue was leather and the inner lining was satin. That is also the case with the last Jordan 1 in the metallic pack, the metallic green. The metallic green Jordan 1 did kinda retro in 2009, however technically it wasn't the same because it was just super tumbled and it had different logo placements and whatnot, so in my opinion the metallic green hasn't been retroed, and I definitely think they should in the future. Then for the next group of Jordan 1s, we have the Jordan 1 KOs or the Jordan 1 knockoffs, and these are basically the budget Jordan 1s in 1985 because they had a canvas upper instead of leather. For the first and what I think is the best HAKO colorway, we have the Jordan 1 KO Chicago. It has that same color scheme as the Jordan 1 OG High Chicago, and it definitely looks super clean. They also did an awesome job with this 2021 retro because they made it as close to the OG as possible. Then for the next HAKO, we have the Air Jordan 1 KO Bread. The HAKO Bread last released in 2015, and it is pretty similar to the OG Hybrid, but in my own personal opinion, I don't think it looks as good as the AJKO Chicago. Then for the next AJKO, we have the AJKO in the sort of metallic red or white and red colorway, and the last time this retroed was in 2016. It is a pretty simple and clean colorway. The only problem is there's a lot of white and it is a canvas shoe, so if you don't like getting your shoes dirty, then this might not be the shoe for you. Then for the last AJKO, we have the AJKO Neutral Gray, and this is definitely one that you kinda need to deep dive in because this hasn't retroed since 1985. I'm not really sure why they haven't retroed it because I do think it looks pretty clean, but maybe they will sometime in the future. Then for the last two Jordan 1s, we have the Jordan 1 Lows, and with the first one, we have the Jordan 1 Neutral Gray, which released this year. This year was the first time that this retroed close to OG form, and though it was not perfect because there were some details that they missed, it is a super wearable colorway, and when it's summertime or when it's hot outside, this is definitely one of my go-to shoes. Then for the last OG Jordan 1 colorway, we have the Jordan 1 Low Metallic Blue. It is pretty much the low-cut version of the OG High Jordan 1 Metallic Blue, so it has the same color blocking, the same shade of blue, and that same simple and clean appeal. Like I said, there are a lot of OG Jordan 1 colorways, so I'm glad I got that out of the way. So now let's move on to the Jordan 2. For the Jordan 2, there are actually only 4 OG colorways, with the first one being the most popular and iconic, the Jordan 2 Chicago Home. The Jordan 2 in the Chicago Home colorway is very simple and very clean because you have a mostly white upper with some hits of red and slight hits of black. I did actually own a pair for a little bit, but it was the wrong size. I mean, it wasn't really my fault. The seller kinda sent me the wrong size, so I just ended up selling it because it was a size too big. It is really hard though to get a wearable pair because the last time it retroed was in 2014. Then for the next Jordan 2 colorway, we have the black and white Jordan 2, or we could also kinda call it the Chicago Away. It is definitely very similar to the Chicago Home colorway, with the only major difference being the black on the midsole instead of white. Those did last release in 2010, so I definitely think it's high time that Jordan brings them back. Then for the last two, we have the low-cut Jordan 2s. The first one is the Jordan 2 Low Chicago, which released in 2016, and it is more of the low-cut version of the Away colorway because it does have that black midsole. Then for the last Jordan 2, we have the Jordan 2 Low White and Red, or the Jordan 2 Low Chicago Home. Once again, it is pretty much just a low-cut version of the Chicago Home, and I don't think this has retroed before because the only Jordan 2 Low Chicago was the one I mentioned a while ago, which had that black midsole instead of white. Then moving on to the next shoe, we have the Jordan 3, and the first one would be the Jordan 3 White Cement. The Jordan 3 White Cement is famous for being on Michael Jordan's feet in the famous dunk contest where he won by jumping from the free throw line. It is quite difficult to find a wearable pair because it last released in 2011, but if you wanted something wearable that was pretty close to the White Cement Jordan 3s, there was the Jordan 3 free throw lines in 2018. Then for the next shoe, we do have what I think is one of the most wearable Jordans of all time, the Jordan 3 Black Cement. The Jordan 3 Black Cement is a pretty iconic shoe. I mean, Michael Jordan did use the white cement in the All-Star game, but for the most part throughout the season, he was mostly wearing these. These are just such a wearable shoe overall, and I pretty much use these to go everywhere, which is why eventually I think I have to double up on the 2018 retro. Then for the next colorway, we have the Jordan 3 Fire Red. The Jordan 3 Fire Red is definitely one of the more different Jordan 3 colorways, just because it doesn't have that same style of elephant print as the other three colorways. They did last release in 2013, so it's definitely quite hard to find a pair that hasn't crumbled or is not super yellow. And it also did come before the remastered series, so it doesn't have the Nike Air on the back tab. Instead, it has the Jumpman. Then for the next shoe, even though I think the Jordan 3 Black Cement is the most wearable, my personal favorite would be the Jordan 3 True Blue. The Jordan 3 True Blue was the first remastered Jordan 3, which means it had the Nike Air on the back. And even though the quality of the leather on the shoe isn't that great, it is still a super clean colorway. Aside from being known as a shoe that MJ wore, these were actually also worn by Kobe when he was a sneaker free agent. Then moving on to the Jordan 4, it is a very iconic shoe with some very iconic colorways, with the first one being the Jordan 4 White Cement. The Jordan 4 White Cement last retroed in 2016, and we definitely thought we were gonna get it again, but Jordan Brand did kind of pull a prank on us because instead of releasing it this way, they released the White Cement Jordan 4 as a golf shoe. Nevertheless though, it is a super nice colorway and it's just super easy to wear, and since it did release in 2016, it was also remastered, so you have the Nike Air on the back tab. Then moving on, we have a super iconic shoe with the Air Jordan 4 Black Cement or Bread. The Jordan 4 Black Cement is definitely most famous for being on MJ's feet when he hit the shot over Cleveland in the playoffs. This is another super wearable Jordan 4, and a lot of people just beat up their Black Cement 4s since they pretty much just use these for going everywhere. These did just recently come out in 2019, so you do have that Nike Air on the back tab. Then for the next shoe, we do have my personal favorite Jordan 4 colorway, which is the Jordan 4 Fire Red. The Jordan 4 Fire Red, in my opinion, is just such a well-balanced colorway because you do have quite a bit of white, but some really nice touches of red and black. It definitely is just super fresh on feet, and it doesn't really matter what you're wearing these in because you can throw on some jeans, some joggers, some shorts, and you'll be good to go and looking fresh no matter what. This did come out in 2020, so you also have that Nike Air on the back. Then for the last colorway of the Jordan 4, it's actually the only one I don't have, and that would be the Jordan 4 Military Blue. The Military Blue Jordan 4 is definitely one of the more interesting colorways because as you can see, all of the other colorways just make use of white, black, or some red, and with this colorway, it doesn't make use of any red and black. It just makes use of white and some light blue. They have been kind of hinting that they will release these soon, so I'm definitely hoping that they do because the last time these retroed was in 2012. Then for the next shoe, we have the Air Jordan 5. So the first colorway of the Jordan 5 that we have is the Jordan 5 Fire Red Metallic. The Jordan 5 Fire Red is a pretty simple shoe. You have white for most of the shoe. You have that clear netting as well as the clear outsole, black on the midsole and red on the fighter jet teeth and on the interior lining as well. It is just super nice and clean, and I really love wearing these, and it's actually my most worn pair of Jordan 5s. And since it did release in 2020, you also have your Nike Air on the back. Then moving on to the next colorway, we have the Jordan 5 Fire Red Black Tongue. This is a pretty close sibling to the Fire Red Metallic because pretty much the only difference would be the tongue, because this does have a black reflective tongue instead of the silver. It did last retro in 2013, so it's definitely quite a while back, which is also why I'm afraid to pull the trigger on a 2013 pair. So I'm just kinda hoping that they retro it sometime in the future. Then for the next shoe, it was a colorway that wasn't necessarily popularized by MJ, but instead was made famous by Will Smith, which is the Jordan 5 Grape. The Grape Jordan 5 is definitely one of the more interesting colorways because you don't have any of those Chicago Bulls colors. Instead, you have white and purple. These definitely need a retro because the last time they did was in 2013. And recently, we've just gotten like alternate grapes or like Bel Air colorways, which are okay, but you know, there's nothing like the OG. Then for the last Jordan 5 colorway, this was the one he was mostly using in the playoffs, and those were the Jordan 5 Black Metallics. The Jordan 5 Black Metallic, for the lack of a better word, is one of the meaner looking Jordan colorways just because it is mostly black, but you do have hits of silver on the tongue and on the fighter plane teeth on the midsole as well. It is probably my least worn pair of Jordan 5s, and that's pretty much just because it is like all black and it does look a little boot-like, but if I am trying to pull off a fit where I kinda want it to look a little meaner, this is definitely the shoe for the job. These did retro in 2016 and they are remastered, so they do have the Nike Air just this at the back. Then moving on to the next shoe, we have the Jordan 6, and my personal favorite colorway of the shoe is the Jordan 6 Carmine. The Jordan 6 Carmine, in my opinion, just really stands out because it has a pretty unique color blocking when you compare it to the earlier Jordan models. You have those nice white overlays of leather and that Carmine red on the mid panels as well as the toe. These did come out earlier this year, and it is the first time they retroed with the Nike Air on the back. Then moving on to the next shoe, this is probably the most iconic colorway of the Jordan 6, and that would be the Jordan 6 Black Infrared. The Black Infrared Jordan 6 was what he was pretty much using for most of the playoffs, and this was also the colorway he was wearing in the 1991 NBA Finals, where he won his first ever NBA championship. The Black Infrared is a pretty simple shoe. You have a pretty much all black upper, but what really gives it some pop is the reflective hits on the shoe, as well as those hits of infrared on the midsole, on the lace lock, as well as here on the spoiler. Then moving on to the next shoe, if we have the Black Infrared, then we also have the White Infrared Jordan 6. The White Infrared Jordan 6 is a pretty clean colorway of the shoe, and it basically has an all-white upper with some infrared hits. The last time those retroed was in 2014, so it definitely has been a long time, and it also was before they started remastering the Jordans, so it doesn't have that Nike Air on the back, instead it just has the Jumpman. Then for the next shoe, we have the Jordan 6 Sport Blue. This actually might be my least favorite colorway of the Jordan 6, and it is pretty clean, like I'll give it that, but in my opinion, the Jordan 6 just looks pretty awkward when it has some blue. This is a pretty easy to pull off colorway though, because you pretty much have almost all white with hits of that sport blue on the midsole. Then moving on to the last shoe, we have the Jordan 6 Maroon. This is, in my opinion, another really unique colorway of the Jordan 6, just because there really isn't any other Jordan 6 colorway that makes use of these colors. I mean, you have that white all throughout the upper, but it actually kinda looks like cream. And you also have your maroon hits on the midsole, here at the spoiler at the back, that lace lock, as well as the top of the tongue. This did release in 2015, and it was actually one of the first remastered Jordans, so you have that Nike Air on the back. Then for the next shoe, we have the Jordan 7. The Jordan 7 isn't one of the more popular Jordans, but it definitely has some pretty cool colorways, with the first one being the Jordan 7 Hair. The Jordan 7 Hair is definitely one of the more iconic colorways, just because it has been copied to the other Jordans. I mean, you have the Jordan 6 Hair, you have the Jordan 7 Hair 2.0, and you have a lot of other hair-inspired colorways on other Jordan models. This is a pretty simple and clean colorway because it has a white base, but you also have some hits of light gray as well as red. Then for most of these Jordan 7s, as you can see, they haven't retroed in quite a while, and it's pretty much the same with the Jordan 7 Hair because it last released in 2015. Then moving on to the next colorway, we have the Jordan 7 Raptor, and it's definitely an interesting name, and I'm not really sure what they called it back in the day, because back in 1992 when the Jordan 7 released, there wasn't the Toronto Raptors yet, but it definitely is an appropriate name because you have an all-black upper with some hits of purple and red. This colorway is rumored to come back in 2022, and it definitely has been a long time coming because the last time it retroed was in 2012. Then for the next shoe, we have another iconic colorway with the Jordan 7 Olympic. These were the shoes that Jordan wore in the 1992 Olympics, and the unique thing about this colorway is that on the back tab, instead of having his usual 23, you have Jordan's Olympic number of 9. This is a very nice colorway in my opinion because it has that white base, you have those hits of blue and red, and to top everything off, you have some hits of gold and silver as well. I also am waiting for these to come back because the last time they released was in 2012 as well. Then for the next colorway, we have the Jordan 7 Cardinal, and this is a mostly overlooked Jordan 7 colorway, but in my opinion, it actually is one of the best. It does have a pretty much all-white upper and a black midsole. You have these nice and unique hits of dark gold as well as this deep red. This is also definitely a colorway that I think is long overdue for a retro because the last time they released was in 2011. Then for the last Jordan 7, I think this is a fan favorite colorway, and it is the Jordan 7 Bordeaux. The Jordan 7 Bordeaux is a colorway that MJ actually used quite a bit on court, and it has a nice black and gray color combination which just makes it super wearable. However, even if it is a popular colorway, I'm not too big of a fan because the Jordan 7 does already kind of look boot-like, so just having it in all black kind of just makes it even more bulky than it actually is. So since we are done with the Jordan 7, I decided to cut the video into 2 parts, and it's pretty much just because I kind of underestimated how long this video would be. So just to make sure that the video doesn't get too long, I will continue with the Jordan 8 to the Jordan 14 in part 2 of this video, which I will upload in a few days. So there you have it guys, that was the SNB Crash Course Episode 1 Part 1 of all of the OG Jordan colorways from the Jordan 1 to the Jordan 14. Once again, if you haven't already yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon for notifications. It would help us out a lot. Here's Sneaks and Ball, PH.